Whew, that was hard work. That was the longest earthquake I think I've ever been in. Hi, everyone. I'm San Francisco Mayor London Breed, and it's great to be here at the San Francisco Main Library campus. I was just talking about how this actual physical space used to be located where the Asian Art Museum was, and it was always so dark in that building. And going through those on the second floor in that beautiful room now, the card catalog, and most young people don't necessarily probably know what that is because of technology nowadays. And this library over many, many years has adapted to technology needs of this city with electronic books. In fact, I have the app in order to download books, which also include audiobooks that you can borrow. And can we extend that past 21 days? I have to renew, download, if no one's waiting on it, can I just extend and be given a new option? But anyway, it's great to be here, the Great ShakeOut all throughout the state of California. And let me just take this moment to acknowledge and thank all of the people who work here at the Main. The folks who work here not only serve the public and deal with sometimes very challenging circumstances, they were the first to raise their hands and say, I want to be a disaster service worker and help my city. So thank you all so much. I'm so glad to see you back at work. And I can tell under these masks, you're really smiling, right? And today, we talk about earthquakes. It's really, in San Francisco, this is earthquake territory, and it's not a matter of if the next one happens, it's a matter of when. And in 1989, we remember the Giants were playing the A's in the World Series. I was at Galileo High School at the time, but I was in the community on that day, and it was unbelievable. Like that, I still remember where I was, how it felt like the earth shook, and the aftermath of it, right? The Bay Bridge, everyone's like, the Bay Bridge fell, the Bay Bridge fell. And part of the upper deck of the Bay Bridge did fall. The marina was absolutely devastated, and our city suffered a tremendous loss. And as a result, we have continued to push and implement not only policies for soft story buildings and high rises and ensuring that our buildings are seismically safe, but we also want to make sure that kids and families and people know what to do, not only when an earthquake happens, but even before, to get prepared. So we're joining you here today with our city librarian, Michael Lambert. Thank you so much, as well as Mary Ellen Carroll, the Department of Emergency Management, who will be responsible if a disaster happens, or not if, when a disaster happens. And she's been leading the way on our COVID response here in our city. We also have Deputy Chief David Lazar from the San Francisco Police Department, who's responsible for the entire city and does a tremendous job, as well as our amazing Fire Chief, Janine Nicholson. All of these people here, if or when a disaster strikes and when we're in a situation, who? Sure. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Our sheriff, Paul Miyamoto, is here as well. Thank you for joining us, Sheriff. So all of our public safety personnel, they will be the front line of any disaster that hits San Francisco. They have been at the forefront of this pandemic as well, doing everything they can to serve and protect the people of San Francisco. But in case of an earthquake, we come ready and prepared to do what's necessary to help support and keep people safe. But here's what you can do. You can go to sf72.org because, listen, there are going to be a lot of people who may be in trouble, who may need help. And our NERT program that Chief Nicholson is very familiar with, where volunteers from San Francisco are trained to help in case of a disaster, will be a tremendous asset when an earthquake happens and there is help needed. Our police, fire, and sheriff, they'll be out there doing everything they can to help support the public and many of the city's disaster service workers who, as a result of COVID, know what it takes in order to get prepared to distribute food and resources and other things. But ultimately, we know that there might be some people in some communities that need to just be prepared to be on your own for some time. And so SF72.org is a resource where you can know the kinds of things that you need to update in your kits so that you have water. And I say canned goods. Now they make canned goods with the top where you can pill it, so you may not need a can opener, but just in case, maybe even a can opener. So make sure that the things that you have in your emergency kit, your Band-Aids, all of the stuff, it's not expired, and you do. This is a time we remind people because we want them to do an annual check to ensure that they will be okay for at least 72 hours after a disaster hits our city. And secondly, I know we have technology and cell phones, and people think, oh, I'm just going to call someone on my cell phone, but cell phone towers may be out. And I know this is impossible to believe, but there was a time when there weren't even any cell phones, and we relied on landlines and the radio and batteries. So look, let's go back to prehistoric days when we needed those things and think about other ways in which we can communicate with our families and our friends and hear the latest of what's going on. Power may be down, so that's when you do need a battery-powered radio where you can hear what's happening. And finally, because usually everyone is worried about where are their loved ones. When a disaster strikes, you want to make sure that even if you can't communicate with electronic device or any other way, that you designate a meeting area and a specific timing after something occurs so that you can meet up and ensure that everyone is safe. This today is a reminder for our state here in California that earthquakes happen, but we are prepared. We've been through this before. We're a resilient city. We bounced back and made San Francisco even a better place as a result of the '89 earthquake. When you think about the freeway that was down at the Embarcadero, many people may not remember that, but it was dark, dreary. It's not a place you went unless you were in a car. And now people are loving and enjoying our waterfront on bikes and walking and spending time down there at restaurants and going to the Exploratorium and other places. So through these experiences and through these challenges come opportunity as well. So don't give up hope. Continue to stay prepared and do everything you can to make sure that you are part of helping to keep you, your family, and your friends safe and continue to protect our amazing city when an earthquake occurs. And with that, I want to introduce the Director of the Department of Public Health, Mary Ellen Carroll. Oh, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
Empire Building.
One of those departments.
Dr. Colfax is on vacation, so I'm Mary Ellen Carroll. I'm the Director of the Department of Emergency Management. Mayor, you can have my job. She really laid out exactly everything to every detail about what to do to be prepared. And we are really lucky to have the leadership of this mayor who takes emergency seriously. I'm happy that we're all here in person again on 10/21. We got distracted for a minute by this global pandemic, but now we're able to refocus on other things. And I want to echo the mayor's words about the library staff, and I know many of you are here. We could not have responded in the way that we did and saved the lives that we did without the incredible hundreds of library staff who served during COVID. And so we are all incredibly grateful. And I just want to say to my partner over here, the leadership of your leader, Michael Lambert, was incredible and never says no to anything and always willing to step up. And finally, these very distinguished looking partners behind me from fire and police and sheriff. These folks really are going to be the front line in an earthquake to save lives and to come to serve the public. So we're super grateful that they're here. it is a matter of if not if, but when an earthquake happens. And the mayor did such a great job of running through a lot of the things that you can do. Going to sf72.org is really helpful, a place to start. I'll just share with you, for me, every time this year, this is also my dad's birthday, so it always makes me remember. But, I have big gallons of water in my garage, and so twice a year I change those out, once in April during the 1906 and once during this. So there's just different things that you can be thinking of. I really can't see very well, so I always, really, so for me, having my extra set of glasses in a safe place, especially next to my bed, because otherwise I'm really literally flying blind. Having medication, all those little things that are really important to your own family. Finally, I just want to say that we as a city came together during the pandemic and the crisis that we went through, and it was more than a second, and it was really about community. And San Francisco saved San Francisco. It wasn't just us standing here. It was about every single person here who did what they needed to do. They sacrificed, they got vaccinated. And in an event like an earthquake, it's going to be the same thing. We're really going to need to come together. What we learned during COVID is that the most vulnerable among us become exponentially more vulnerable. And so for those of us that don't have that vulnerability as much, that we're safely housed, that we have the means, we really need to look out for our neighbors who aren't in the same situation, and I know that we will. So again, it's so great to be here. I'm so proud to serve under this mayor and with these colleagues, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to our city librarian, Michael Lambert.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Director Carroll. Thank you both for choosing the San Francisco Public Library to host this fun event today. Good morning and welcome, everyone. I want to thank Mayor Breed and all of our special guests today, Chief Nicholson, Deputy Chief Lazar, Sheriff Miyamoto, our Vice President of the Library Commission, Pete Wong, is here. I want to thank all of them for their strong leadership throughout this pandemic. Their steady leadership over the past 19 months is really proof that we are in the most capable and caring hands in San Francisco. And the library's been proud to partner throughout. We have been helping to keep our community safe, informed, and connected with high-quality programming and collections. I want to echo the mayor and Director Carroll and thank all of the library staff for their phenomenal service during COVID. Whether deployed as disaster service workers or holding down the fort to make sure that we can continue to deliver library services, I'm so proud of their extraordinary contributions. At the library, getting prepared for the next big one is something that we take very seriously. We've actually lost 2 libraries to earthquakes in the past. The Old Main Library in 1906 and the McCreary branch in Eureka Valley in the early 1960s. So I'm pleased to report that this main library is one of the safest buildings in the entire city now. This building has an innovative seismic design that can withstand an 8.3 magnitude earthquake. So the library is always the place to be, but particularly during the next big one. So thank you again for coming and participating in the Great ShakeOut. Yeah. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.